It simply seems I cannot forgive and be forgiven and move forward. Social media has made me a pariah.
Welcome back. While Sarah Boone prepares to collect thousands of dollars for her missing family heirlooms and jewels, futuristically, she hasn't forgotten about her fight to prove her innocence. Yesterday's interview with Frank Bankowitz had us all wondering what was going on. We couldn't figure it out. We thought that Sarah had already filed her appeal and everything was signed, sealed, and delivered, Esquire style. Nonetheless, it was being reported that she had less than 20 days or her appeal would be dismissed. But looks like Sarah has not forgotten about her appeal. She is up and at 'em, and she's actually has her crew of 9 people hunting her appellate lawyer down. Who do you guys think the 9 people are? Lana had to be one of them because this is the past. I'm sure Lana reached out before. Christina, Jalen, the Delpines. Who do you guys think? Put in the comments.
Destroying my phone with a hammer because my son called. For me experiencing ever being arrested and after today, prison. For beating me almost blind, crushing my occipital lobe. For having me experience what it means to see stars like in the cartoons, where a character has a tall lump on their head. I had that too, and many times. For dragging me downstairs by my hair in the middle of the night just to sit next to him.
And if you guys want to read the documents in full, head over to Just a Lazy Gamer and give him a big shout out. State of Florida v. Sarah Boone, defendant. Notice of inquiry. Comes now, Sarah Boone, appellant, and respectfully moves this honorable court to please provide status of her court-appointed appellate attorney, Joshua E. Adams, Esquire, in addition to her inquiry as to the status of her pending appeal. In support, the appellant states the following. Here we go. 1. An order was filed with the 9th Judicial Circuit by the Circuit Court Judge Michael S. Kranick, appointing appellate counsel on December 18, 2024. 2. Court-appointed appellate counsel Joshua E. Adams has sent a single, basic introduction via inmate messaging to the appellant on February 27, 2025, asking if she had any information and to not hesitate to contact him. Sidebar. Sidebar. Okay, so we're off to a good start. Judge Kranick has appointed counsel around Christmas, December 18, 2024. In return, counsel reached out to Sarah February 27, 2025, just to introduce itself via inmate messaging and told her, hey, reach out if you have any information. Don't hesitate to contact me. So he introduced himself. Now, let's see what grievances inmate Boone could possibly have. 3. Appellant has attempted to contact Mr. Adams via inmate messaging 5 times and sent 2 handwritten letters to his office in efforts to receive status of her appeal and to confirm receipt of her correspondence to ensure his representation was and is still active from no response from him. Sounds like this appeal process isn't as easy as Sarah thought it was going to be. Now, by no means am I a lawyer. However, luckily, some of my people down in the comment section have explained to us that this appeal process can take years, on top of the interview that we watched yesterday with Frank Bankowitz, where he got a little redemption and he was able to explain to us the trials and tribulations that Sarah would be facing during her appeal.
Endless. It's everlasting. The scars that I have on the inside.
4. To the present date of this inquiry, appellant has not received any type of response or correspondence in any form or manner from Joshua E. Adams, nor has any of her 9 third-party representatives on her behalf via email and phone calls, which go directly to his voicemail. Sidebar, do you guys remember when Sarah wrote that nasty letter to the YouTuber and she said that her New York representatives will be reaching out? Have we heard? Is that the Delphines? Who are the representatives? 9. Yes, know that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but in the messages from Lana to Tanika, was Lana saying that the Delphines like to send the money to support Sarah through her? That way there was no paper trail back to their nonprofit organization. 5. Ongoing 7 months, appellant has received one message from her court-appointed appellate attorney, Joshua E. Adams. 6. Appellant was recently made aware by a third-party representative that the court issued an order on June 13, 2025, with a 20-day due date, requiring an initial brief be filed or her appeal may be dismissed. Due to the complete lack of proper and effective communication from her court-appointed appellate attorney, the appellant's appeal is now in jeopardy. Sidebar. So this is what we were talking about yesterday. Is Sarah Boone so busy? Well, is inmate Boone so busy back at the dorms, picking fights with the staff, swiping slices of cheese and paper clips and extra ink pens that she totally forgot about her filing dates? Or is this out of Sarah Boone, inmate Boone's hands? Is this out of her hands? One of my lawyer people, let us know in the comments. Oh, and when she says third-party representative informed her, I imagine her laying on her bunk with that bulky tablet, scrolling through YouTube. The failure of an appointed attorney to perform duties or communicate with their client cannot be held against the appellant. Dismissal of an appeal under these circumstances would be an obvious denial of her due process and effective assistance of counsel. And then she lists a case, see Poland versus State. The failure of an appointed counsel to act cannot be imputed to the defendant to justify dismissal. So she's fighting it. She's saying that it isn't her fault. It is her counsel's fault. 7. Appellant further invokes Douglas versus California, and it lists the statute, which guarantees the right to counsel on a first appeal as a right of Anders versus California, and it lists the statute, which outlines the duty of appointed appellate counsel to support the appeal or withdraw following proper procedures, neither of which have been followed here. Okay, so what do you guys think? Sarah's saying basically you support the appeal or withdraw properly so that I can get better representation. Are we going to see another Rolodex of attorneys? Number 7 continues. Appellant respectfully requests this honorable court to please advise and take notice of these violations and to either compel court-appointed appellate attorney Joshua E. Adams to fulfill his legal duties and communicate immediately, or appoint new counsel capable of necessary communication and representation and inclusion of the appellant. She had to sneak that in there. She loves some inclusion and communication, right? And the filing just goes on to say that it is respectfully submitted by this appellant on this 24th day of June 2025. Good job, Sarah. Do you think Sarah did all of this on her own, or did she get some help? Ironically, the postage on the final page is from Connecticut. Now, I'm no private investigator, but while looking over Sarah's prison calls, the only people she knew in Connecticut were the Delphines. Leave a comment below. I could be reaching, but is it possible Sarah sent the Delphines a self-addressed envelope and they filed the documents for her? Or have they fell off the face of the earth like James Owens and the girls? Leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts.
I'm just tired of it happening. Yeah.
And it posted July 8th, 2025. So just a quick timeline rewind. And at least for now, we know that Josh Adams has received the documents and he doesn't have to communicate with Sarah as much, so she's in the dark. However, I think he does have an obligation to file on the proper date so that she doesn't lose her appeal date. So that's very interesting. Maybe he has an emergency. We'll wait to see what Josh says in his response to Sarah's filing. Oh, and if you want to know what I mean by is she busy back at the dorms, let's read this behavioral note. It's a negative officer contact that inmate Boone received. Inmate Boone constantly starts arguments with the other inmates in the dorm every time she volunteers to do duties around the dorm. It should be noted that Inmate Boone is not the dorm trustee. She just volunteers. I advise Inmate Boone that I do not need her assistant anytime that I am on duty because of this very reason. On today, I observed Inmate Boone approach Inmate Ward while she was standing at the kiosk. Inmate Boone was telling Inmate Ward that she was not doing a great job at being dorm trustee because she gave everyone cleaning towels instead of bath towels. The conversation between the two inmates had gotten loud, causing a disturbance. I advised both Inmate Boone and Ward to cease the noise and to return to their bunks. Both complied. Shortly after, I observed Inmate Boone still talking about Inmate Ward to the other inmates in the dorm. I then called Inmate Boone to the officer desk and advised her that I do not want to hear anything else about the cleaning towels. It is done and over with. Inmate Boone decided that she wanted to continue challenging me by talking about the towels. It should be noted that Inmate Boone constantly tries to challenge and manipulate staff. Inmate Boone was counseled in regards to her behavior. It may be clear that I do not need her doing anything in the dorm unless her name is assigned to a chore on a chore list. I also stated that there is nothing else to talk about in regards to this matter. Inmate Boone did not appear receptive, but understands that future incidents will absolutely result in disciplinary action. At approximately 9:37 hours, Inmate Boone was issued her medication. Upon taking her meds, she was told to open her mouth and lift her tongue. Inmate Boone then stated, quote, "Do you want me to ruffle my hair and shake my bra too?" End quote. Be advised, this is a common practice for officers to stop the inmates from storing or cheeking their medication. Now, we've all seen that on the movies before. When a person, you get in line, you get your medication, and the nurse checks your mouth, makes you lift up your tongue, checks your cheeks, just to make sure that you took your medication, right? So even though I think Sarah made George break the TV, she was aware of how the process of taking medication worked, and it was just unnecessary, defiant at the least. A lot of my people in the comments who have been incarcerated before all commented on our last video under behavior notes saying that Sarah's behavior was out of control. Everyone said that how she was behaving would have been absolutely unacceptable at the facilities they were at. Nancy wrote, "Sarah keeps doing what she does because the staff are not going to do anything but give her a negative. Sarah knows they're not going to do anything but give her a negative. Sarah is definitely running that place." Sid Mountaineer, shout out to Sid, writes in response to Sarah's behavior, "Insolence is a strong word. She must have been especially nasty to that officer, but it matches her narcissistic behavior perfectly." Plum Skitter wrote, "She lives for conflict. What a miserable way to spend one's time on earth, relentlessly stirring the pot, badgering people, and complaining. zero introspection, no appreciation for peace and serenity. She exhausts herself and everyone she comes in contact with her nonstop, trivial negativity, ridiculous, pointless behavior. How's that working for you, Sarah? Catherine Weber, shout out to Catherine. Hey, Catherine. My gosh, she really thinks she can get over on everybody. She still hasn't figured out everyone is on to her BS. If she had any sense at all, she'd go to counseling, but she never will. And finally, someone said, Boone, you're being punished. You can't complain. That's kind of the point. Edit. She seriously asked to speak with a supervisor in prison. What the freak? And that's from Nowhere, No There. Chris Best said, thing is, except for that little murder rap, she's of royal blood. Don't you forget that. Now, I want to read your comments as well, so if you made it this far, don't forget to let me know where you're watching from. If it's your birthday, give yourself a shout out in the comment section so we can tell you happy birthday too. And have a good day. I'll call you back soon. Bye.
Finally, know that.
I don't.
Know that.
You got up and you went up to bed.